Woo.
Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. This is Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and with me today is from Blockchain Basement and Discover.
Yes, sir.
How's it going, brother?
It's pretty sketchy. Obviously the charts are what they are. I mean, they're not great. Things have been better. Okay. Not gonna lie, things have been better. So ETH literally, like, right after I got off the show, it went down and did essentially tap that trend line. Right. So I don't know quite how to put my screen up on here, but we
Throw it up.
came pretty much perfectly to it. Now it's like, okay, is the pain over with? Right? This is the previous highs trend line. There's a downward trend line. We came back down to it. A little sketchy, not gonna lie. Some of the stuff I was looking at on kind of the breaking news stuff though is pretty problematic. So whatever this is, this feels like a top signal.
That's definitely problematic.
This is top signal action right here. Whatever this mess is. So there's essentially I believe a nuclear agreement with Aerodrome that Trump just signed up for here. So let's see here. Trump, Turkey, because we had Turkey and the leader of Turkey, Aerodrome, in today, right as all that crap with Vladimir Putin was going on. And let's see here. I want to see the deal that they just allegedly struck up. This came out from Disclose very, very recently. Let's see here. All right, so we're talking about a deal with just F-35s. Okay, so what? They're going to sling some F-35s around and open up some oil corridor between the U.S. I want to go to Disclose because that might have been taken down. Actually, might have been taken down. Disclose came out with it. I know they did. Let's see. Turkey signs nuclear deal with the U.S. Senior reporter or senior official from Turkey. So they're saying that this picture almost feels fake, though, right? I look at this and like, does Trump's face really look like that? Does this guy really look like a pasty crayon that's straight out of the box? Is that really how someone exists day to day? And then what's he looking at, right? Or why is the posture so weird? But this is from Disclose, so it might just be very fast to the board information that we're looking at here. Look at some of the thoughts on why Russia is warning of action against NATO, why all of the flyovers are reported over the last few weeks and today in Alaska from Russia. And I guess you're a perfect person to ask this question, man. Because, like, in my mind, that meeting that Pete Hegseth called for 800 some odd generals to all meet in Virginia, it seems pretty big dealish to me. So I'm like, are they going to get all the military on the same level in terms of expanding control and implementation of their usage in cohesion with Trump on these ICE city takeovers, basically? Yeah, I mean, you have dissent within the United States. Chicago, California, you have states, literal states and their governors that are trying to say no Fed. You can't come in here with ICE agents. We run the show. And the ICE agents are just like, we're going to keep operating because we're the feds, right? And some of the rhetoric is getting very hot internally in the U.S. So maybe it's everyone getting the on the same page for that. Or my mind goes to, are they getting ready and on the same page in terms of a conflict becoming hot between NATO nations and Russia, and by proxy, China? That's like where my mind's at with this. And the crypto bag, sure, the price go down, whatever. The concept of World War III, those bags will matter very little in the process of it, I feel like. So, and the idea of World War III with Russia, I feel like the US would win, but I don't think it would not be very problematic, very ugly life. what is your take on that? Is all this just hot headline? See people on the edge of their seat and a little distracted from other things going on, or what is your opinion about
I don't know what's going on with my setup.
Oh, with your mic, yeah. Maybe it's a little
Yeah,
very staticky. Okay.
yeah.
The computer attacked you. It didn't want you to have it didn't want the internet to explore the depths of Mike, the
No.
base taker. Give me the echoey version. Like, is this hot air or is this meeting headsets calling for actually something to take seriously?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I gotten to the point where I'm really not too much attention to a lot of these
Yeah.
types of things. It seems like it always nothing burger, and it's like I'm ready. I was proactive. I got ready for the chaos that might come down the pipe. But it's all like action.
Yeah.
It's the markets, the economy. It's just honestly, it's at this point.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we had the articles and kind of the back and forth with the Lavrov, one of I think he's a military lead with Russia this morning. And just general market overheated feeling. It's led to a pretty strong pullback in Bitcoin. We did fall to 108,000, 108,600. It's and the painful part about this is I want to be like, this is going to be a bounce, but we're hitting these pullbacks and then the money flow is continuing to start angling downward before the next kind of bigger washout. So, like here at the 107 general spot, it's reasonably discussed as the next turbulent zone, somewhere we could see price try to defend itself. Psychological at around 100, but there is that ugly CME gap, right? The red line.
How's my voice now? Never mind.
I mean, it's not too bad. It's, like, I think it's just got a gate on it, so it kind of cuts you away a little bit. I think that might be actually what's going on. No, franchise, we did not fill the gap. But honestly, if we did indeed fill this gap, that is another 17% downwind on Bitcoin. These things happen in bull markets, though. And, I do feel like it's worth looking at this. The run up, of 2021, this correction started about February, January timeframe of the bull year, right? So if we look at January, February of the bull year, 2025, we actually began a 30% drawback. So this was the trade war, and it gave us about a 31% pullback. This little moment here, though in retrospect, similar time frame in reference to the bull market for your cycle and a similar percentage pullback of 32% before you're able to start partying again. And during this bull market, you had this pullback, which was 24% right before the absolute peak for Bitcoin in terms of buying power, which was April 12th. And then another pretty large pullback from that all-time high down by 54%, right? So we pulled back by 54% at that initial peak. And then it is to be noted that the quantitative easing process really starts to take hold. Between point A and B of these previous peaks, they printed a lot of money, which devalued the buying power. It took about 210 days to hit that next high. And that was a 54% pullback, right? There's a lot of people like, yep, that's it. That's over. Where we're at right now, if you were to overlay, this time frame of 4-year cycle with the previous 4-year cycles, like we're coming up on that end of 2025. And really, historically speaking, this is why people are looking for the blow off top around November, is the blow off top for the last 4-year cycle in terms of monetary value for Bitcoin at 69K was in November, right? The beginning of November, the market gets, it's shorter by like 1 month every single 4-year cycle from this previous market data. But now we are dealing with new concepts, and I am sitting here publicly striving to come up with a reason why it's different this time. But it might be largely the same with nuance. We might just see lesser pullback, a little bit extended of a cycle. Um, just thinking about how long the average ETF holder is in an investment, or what treasury companies end up doing. So that is something to think about. That is something. Who's Tim, and why did his channel get banned? I'm checking out in the chat. What happened to Tim?
Talking about Tim, what's his name? The bros, crypto bros or whatever.
No way. His channel got banned? What?
That's what Wispy's saying.
Tim Warren?
Yeah,
no
Tim
way.
Warren. Let's take a look.
No. I thought he just rebranded. Didn't he just rebrand?
I thought so.
Pretty sure it is. My chat, are you saying I'm only seeing DCA stream? Yeah, I'm seeing where are we live at? I'm seeing all kinds of chats.
We're on both of our DCA channels. We're on 3 X accounts.
Okay, cool. Cool. Tim was too bullish. They had to kick him off. They had to ban Tim Warren. Jesus, Murphy, Mary, and Joseph. Unbelievable.
Well, I want to talk about some kind of positive things that are going on right now. Because I mean, it seems like everybody's just focused on this dump and the prices taking a tank. I kind of feel like people are too zoomed in. That they need to zoom out a little bit and see kind of overall what the markets are doing.
Yeah.
Because nothing has changed fundamentally.
Yeah.
It's really only price, which is, as we all know, easily manipulated. So that big money can flush us out, liquidate us, and buy in at lower prices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of brought it all the way back to this. And, you as you can see, this bull market has produced these 3 really nice impulses of green money flow already. So, I mean, there has been money flowing into Bitcoin. The thought process was that M2 money supply is going vertical, or quite a bit more vertical. So we're, and gold also. So we're seeing gold and M2 go nuts. The larger expectation is one more blow off top moment for Bitcoin, kind of complete this 3rd impulse, and then come back down. How far down we come, that's up to debate. I'm looking at about a 50% pullback. And now that we've got ETFs and kind of longer term holders involved, they're not your average degen or Chinese whale that's rolling out of ETH or back into ETH at certain time frames. I think that Bitcoin's downside pressure is going to have a little bit more defense on it, rather than this nasty 80% correction, 75 that we went through last bull market. DCA and pray test testicles 1, 2, 3. You are there. Ellie, very based, Ellie. Based. All right. So that's kind of the vibe that I have on Ethereum. It's leading the alts. It's trying to prove these old highs as a support spot right now. Initially did bounce pretty good off of this downward trend line, but it's going to be a lot of digging. A lot of digging to the upside to be done here on Ethereum, because now you've dropped below the $4,000 psychological level. It could very well act as support, and then we find a ride down to the scarier part about the scenario. And this is why I'm super happy. Like, I just got mostly Bitcoin and Chainlink, right? And then the smaller plays and other altcoins, that's fine. But this is why not being over allocated in different coins is helping me right now, because ETH could very well do something pretty ugly. Um, you know, on the like 1 hour and 4 hour time frames, didn't really do any like specific TA because there's a bunch of news today. But if we drop below this, lose this spot, likely next defense point is 33.8 or 3,400. Come back up, run into this as new resistance. And then all of a sudden you got this perfect giant head and shoulders pattern. Right. So my entire life savings, you're not me in Pengu, correct? Yes. Not financial advice. That's insane. Zach Nasty. If I could ban you, I would. Now, this is a target that gets real sketch. Gets real sketch. And down to the bottom. Oh, Jesus. At $2,000. All right. So we need to see this money flow increase. We've seen violent pullbacks on Ethereum twice already. That would look a lot like what I just gave a war game of, just so we're mentally prepared in case it does happen for ETH, right? Usually I'm like, oh no, this is a easy cat bounce because we're in a bull market, yada yada yada. But the weekly money flow looks like absolute dog doo doo right now. This weekly money flow on ETH, I mean, that looks like a lymphatic device. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Right. Like this is not what we want to see. We've had two smaller impulses than really any of the other two that we've experienced on ETH in bull markets have passed. But yet ETH is more here to stay than it's ever been. Stablecoin super cycle. Stablecoins turned into slaves of the treasury. We're having all these things, this institutional adoption happen, but still running into these things. And it's a crazy time. I got all the stories and headlines that are coming out about this Russia NATO deal. They're not good. They're not going to be loved by the market initially. They're not going to be loved by the market. Ellie liked the bear market more. I don't blame her, because those are like the fun times. No one's looking, right? And you could just like go into seemingly dead projects in terms of chart, but they still have good fundamentals. Times were good. Now we're in crime season. Help me, Tom Cruise. Jesus. So yeah, I mean things are pretty brutal, not just, and then not to mention the scam that is the housing data and all this bullshit about the GDP that we're now going to have to go through and grin and bear. The market is locked up. I even saw that potentially Pulte is stepping away from the U.S. Federal Housing Authority position. So Pulte is the one that was calling for major action to be taken against Jerome Powell. And he was the voice that actually made sense for the Fed to have to listen to even more than Trump because he oversees a $120 trillion market in the US. So that guy is worth listening to, essentially. He was crashing out to the Fed about high interest rates. Then the punchline is the Fed starts lowering interest rates, but guess what? Treasuries are high. Interest rates on mortgages aren't coming down. There is no flywheel for the housing market. And so that's kind of this crazy sad punchline. It's like we look at the Fed interest rate cuts, like, oh, this is going to kick over the housing sector and things are going to be really, really good. But instead, what we see is the system is so intrinsically sick at the core from its own design of perpetual debt wealth creation that the Treasury needs to hybridize and enslave stablecoins to expand the U.S. balance sheet with crypto involvement, in my opinion. That's what I actually think in the long term is going down. And there will be some winners along the way that are chosen by whatever big organization to be in the app, right? Or, specific use case, focused utility. For the most part, though, a lot of stuff is just going to wash back down to even worse than bear market lows after this hype cycle is done. So looking at that Ethereum chart, And seeing the weakness on the weekly money flow, I'm only sharing what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? I'll share the screen here. Wonder how I do. Wonder how that. Here we go. Give me a second, okay? Here we go.
Oh, just share your screen again. You can just leave it
Leave
up.
it up.
I'm controlling it over here.
Yeah, so there are things to be considered in where we're at. And, the pie cycle, it called the tops really nicely for like the past like 3 cycles. Now that the price is near, the 100,000 in the 100 to $200,000 range, we don't know for sure that the pie cycle top indicator is going to be there. And we don't know if this or opening up steps, on the market's upside potential, right? It could very well happen. So it's a sketchy time, but honestly, like I'm not too worried about it for some reason. Like I want cheaper Bitcoin for sure. I know that much. And I don't feel like buying Chainlink often, but if I get $15 entry point, I'll stash more Chainlink for the long term. Like it's I have a very simplified interest in altcoins right now. To be very light about it. I know there's many projects that I've been researching as they come out. I'm just they didn't do it for me, right? They didn't turn me on, so I didn't get into them. Looks like
We
ETH.
did
Oh,
a shish
boy.
on Perp
Dex
the other day, Wednesday,
with
David and Jake.
and
I'm
after
after
that,
that,
their input.
Me
Me
personally, I'm staying
from
what
what is it?
Aster. I'm sticking
with
Avant.
Avant.
Yeah. Okay. Avantis, Aster. There's a good handful of them. Yeah, Avantis and Aster I was looking at today. And they're like the Aster volume hitting like is probably like $2 billion in volume or some shit like that. Open interest is going absolutely ballistic. And I think a lot of these Aster hyperliquid DEX perpetuals rolling out has really helped kind of put us at max leverage, max speculation, and max washout, as you can see from price. Aster, I'm hopeful to get a deal on. So I want it for like $1.50 is where I'd feel like. And also this one is something we found in the basement earlier this morning. This thing just came out. It's called Plasma XPL and is backed by Tether. Took it into the stablecoin ecosystem. Basic, good old revenue models in terms of stablecoin involvement. So this is one that's brand new on my radar. Didn't buy it. I don't just hammer into it, but
What are your wallet issues after?
what is wallet issues with Astra?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There was a lot of talk,
Just
the amount of Aster token by weeks and the potential, basically a
Yeah, the token holders of original projects are always a danger. And it is a weird kind of catch-22 when it's like they have to hold a large amount so that they don't get sniped essentially because there's really nefarious sniping bots on every token that launches. But if you bundle the tokens, then you have sketchy trust within your tokenomics, right? So it's kind of it's a double-edged sword in terms of that. I've seen bundles be done to protect projects, or at least give the projects long-term longevity chance. And other times I see it just, they just dump it. But Aster, I think CZ's pretty hell-bent on this.
might end up in the cave in a minute.
Yeah, I mean the premise behind Aster is that CZ's doesn't like losing, and he runs the richest crypto exchange on the planet. Still, DOJ put him in jail for 4 months. Got out, right back to Wintermute, right back to creating entry points. After he gets on Twitter and be like, dips are good for buying. And then Binance sends a ass ton of crypto to Wintermute and dumps the price. Right. Now we're in this cascade moment where we're looking for the edge of the cliff here. But Aster prime season will pump. I don't want to buy it right now. I want it for $1.50. So
Arrow's over $1.
Arrow's at $1. Yeah.
Back over.
Yeah. No. Easy is Jesus. Oh my God. Unhinged chat. Yeah, and this is I'm finding serious aggravation with the lack of at least Chainlink and Avalanche and Sui, they fight, right? We see a lot of fighting, a lot of flipping of each other, a lot of flipping off. They got road rage. They're trying to pass each other in the left lane and get into the top 10. But Cardano is just ticking down, I feel like, and it's really ticking me off. 27 bill. Now it's 77 cents. Hit that momentary sign of relief at $1.20, and it's just been the struggle bus ever since. Yes, still essentially a double up from spots where people could accumulate it, like 38 cents or whatnot. But there's a lot to be desired on Cardano. There's a lot to be desired on Cardano price action. So I got to think long and hard about what I'm holding here. We are heading into quite a turbulent zone. If ETH,
Don't get excited. You said
what's that?
don't get excited. You saw hard.
Oh yeah. I'm being careful, man. ETH is just cut through the lows of that range it was trying to swoop really nicely out of. Things were good. We were going to have parties. And then boom. Right. So, I could sit here complaining about spilled milk or just basically understand general market velocity right now. And it is nice and notable that we popped off that trend line. This is my most bullish case scenario for us right now. If we turned this into a wick, scam wick to the downside that bounced off of this trend line, and then we will hit that resistance of 4,200. And obviously 45, but be able to fight for our right to party back up. So that's what my most bullish scenario is. And there could be the possibility of a dead cat bounce all along the way. So, it's I'm in it, man. I'm in it.
All this very historically red right before October, November. Historically parabolic.
Go look. Let's go look at that.
And sorry again, everybody. I've done everything I try to figure it out.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate what you said. So you mentioned that things pull back real hard before October, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how. Let's just go look at Bitcoin. Back October. I mean, ish. This is on weekly. October is pretty uppity. October last cycle, it kind of created its peak and ran by 59%. So I think, and also we got to keep in mind, it's like a 3-year and 11-month cycle. We call it a 4-year cycle, but historically it was about 3 years and 11 months. Oh, you're getting roasted in the chat for your echo.
I know. I don't know how many times people I've done everything. I've never had it before.
Well, it's
not sure
it's me. It's me. I'm the problem. All right. This is what I don't want to see play out on Ethereum. Look at this. So a weekly basis head and shoulder pattern. All right. This is not, I do not want to see a repeat of this past. There is potential of it, but I mean, this stuff has happened before. So, where we're at right now, I don't want to be sounding the alarm too quickly.
So is
So
there
is there
an
an echo?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
there
is.
is.
Yeah, okay.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Okay. I wonder if that fixed it. It's just we've had a lot of upside, and I don't want people to be shocked if this market just has one more impulse, and then that's it. I do think that we have the general timeline for one more impulse. The M2's running still, and we have gold running still. So, still looking up and to the right for the remainder of the year. But, and that's the uncomfortable part about covering like the stagflation, because no one wants to hear that the market, the upside to Nvidia, to Bitcoin is going to come to an end or a short term break. No one wants to hear that information. But what goes up, must come down, right? Like we can't just go up into the right always and forever. Getting out of alts this year. Yeah, I think this Bitcoin dominance probably created a entire generation of Bitcoin maximum. Let's see here. Am I muted?
How
How
about
about
now?
now?
Oh yeah.
Still.
Drew sounds depressed. I'm not depressed. It's just it is what it is. You're having good times. We were right on the edge of Bitcoin dominance. Really, really, really good. Here, I gotta get to this message real quick. It is what it is, though. It's like you want everything to keep pumping and be the general norm, but it's felt like this has been like a stable coin super cycle. And a lot of the juice of what alts looked like last bull market are what, coin went and did, and circle went and did. You know what I mean? It's like the major interest shifted to Wall Street. Wall Street stole alt season. Potential. Potential. All that new money, all that ETF money. So I wonder why you have I wonder if it's still, let me see here. Edged and punched in the face. God. Edged and punched in the face. Jesus. I wonder what happens. Let's zoom in on Wispy's comment here. Using your operating system, I will say, is kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting. Oh, you're totally dusted now. We have not hit euphoria in the market. There's still hope that might come. Yeah, DCA and pray, like, I think so. Like, and euphoria in the market at this point, with how beat down everyone is, euphoria could be $140,000 freaking dollars, right? Euphoria could be $140,000. Um, you know, top signals, different metrics, all that thing, all those things that we talk about, fine. But, money flow and momentum and RSI are going to be our friend, especially over the course of this remainder of the year. And just being mindful of when we get near the 100 mark on overbought, too hot here on the market cipher, or if you use these market cipher B indicators, noting when. I do think that this momentum wave will return to this upside, but knowing when it's near this 97, 95 zone is going to be super important for me, knowing when to start laddering out and just starting to batten down the hatches just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. No one's going to be my friend for holding Ondo into the nether realm or any of these projects that are out there right now. Yes, they're bullish in, the environment we're in, but, when they do crash, which vast majority of them will, then no one's going to be there to hold your hand, right? They're not going to be giving you those profits. So, and you're still muted, I think. Still holding Mamo. Wonder how Mamo is. I was meaning to check out Mamo earlier today. Chat out here. We got 66. We got 66 people up in here now. We're slowly growing. And I think we're live somewhere else. Very, very cool. I can't see the full number. Let me see if I can unmute you, Mr. Mike. Maybe change audio input. Change out that audio input. Mammo, Jesus, Murphy, Mary, and Joseph. We are near release levels on this thing. 5 cents. It was just at 20 cents in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye. Did Coinbase announce that they're not using this? It's pretty likely that Mammo holds this price point here. Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right.
I think Mammo is actually going to be able to hold here. I think this buy block, that originating buy block, going to be able to hoist it up. So actually, I should, probably. I was talking about wanting to buy a spot. This is one of the few alts that I feel like buying for some reason. So, I actually would, I think I might have to take a swing at this one. Yeah, Ricky Romero saying,
Yeah.
maybe.
Fuck.
Oh, you're all right. You're all right. Yeah, Mammo is actually on the shopping list. Just looking at this chart, because this original pump 2 moment, I mean, it's a healthy, generally speaking, new chart. This is a very new project. So, yeah, it had a super exciting, initial kind of claim. I mean, this was exciting too. Right now, we're coming right back down into the guts of that volume. Let's see here. I'll check out Arrow. No, he's not all right, Drew.
No, it's sorry about the echo. Say this. People really their emotions when it comes to investing. If you're emotional, you're going to get destroyed. I can't say that enough.
No. So Arrow is almost to just a general uptrend at like 95 cents. I don't know if I'm going to get the 50-cent buy orders that I like getting on this. Yeah, I like this. Crash encouraged and enjoy the suffering to consolidate. And I like that. We don't want to be caught with our hands in 100 different cookie jars. Especially if the music stops playing. As it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. I like the chat. No, he's not all right. Unbelievable. Oh, man. Yeah, so 50-cent Arrow, I don't think I'll be able to get. If Ethereum can hold this trend line, we can hold this trend line. I mean, Arrow probably keep flushing down and get that 95, maybe 90-cent entry point availability. Really what we'll see is Bitcoin will find its footing first, and then it'll take like a week or two for the juice to really start flowing back into ETH. Because the metrics are out, like ETFs, or they're preferring Bitcoin once again, right? ETH had its moment for a second, whereas being outbid on the ETF side, and there are multiple targets. I think Bitcoin's got to be the first one that we see find that support, bounce up. Then we could expect to look at ETH, and BNB is just going to keep doing what it wants to do. I actually was looking at BNB as a giant head and shoulders type pattern. And, a target for me on BNB is like 876, so that's where it is. It's chaos realm. This is what I live for, though. This is what I live for. It's the chaos realm. And this is actually where, like, the horrible crashes are what changed my life in crypto. So I always reminisce on that. You know what I mean?
Well, if it wasn't for these dips, if it was always up, the volatility is why we're crypto.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Well,
I'm
I
gonna get
apologize for the chat, and Drew, I know you gotta go, but I apologize to the chat for my audio issues. I've never had this issue before. I feel like
it's
I'm
clearly my fault. It's clearly my fault. Maybe we should do a test stream. Or I'll just come back on when I can. Like, you caught me at a good time. I mean, I've been doing a lot of shows, but I got the Mario show at 4:30 and oh my god, the audio is fixed finally. Are you serious?
No, it's not.
Stop it.
I can still hear.
No.
I can
Audio
still
is
hear.
better. Hold on. I'm going to listen to us on YouTube. Okay, so it's slightly fixed, but it's because you're punching into the center of the microphone. I think that's what it was.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what.
But yeah, no, if you want to jump on later, I'll mess with some stuff. I wouldn't mind at least doing a test stream. I would love to get things dialed in so that I can have you on more often. Because I mean, we definitely vibe well.
Yeah.
When
Well,
I can.
I'm glad to be on with you, man. I'm glad to be on. I'll go do this Mario show, and hopefully we see ETH put up a fight tonight. The Chinese are going to take control of the markets, and that's when things can get real frisky about 1 to 3 a.m. So that's going to be the witching hour. If anyone's crazy enough to be around for that time frame, probably going to be pretty crazy. So I'll hop off, go do this other show. I love y'all, and take care, Mr. Veteran.
Alrighty.
This.
There we go. So yeah, I'll keep messing with this and see if I can get it to work. But yeah, I don't know.
Hug me. I would hug you, HP, if I could. I'll give you. All right, man.
Yep.
Take
All right.
care,
Well,
brother.
until next time, crypto out. All right. So I'm going to try this again and let me know because I think that my audio is good now. I was going to end the stream, but I figured we'd test the audio. So yeah, definitely let me know, if there's a feedback because I'm not hearing it on my end. And I definitely got some things to say about the markets. So again, let me know if it's sounding good on your end. If it's sounding good, I'll continue. If not, I'll end this. I'm going to assume that it's good because, like I said, I don't hear any feedback. So I'm just going to drive on because, like I said, I really feel it's important to just address, kind of what's going on in the markets. I know that we're beat up, we're beat down. It just seems like every time we get a pullback and we feel like that, it's the last flush out, before we pump that, we just get another pullback. So kind of feeling like all right. All right. Hey, what up, Josh? Good to see you, brother. All right. Yeah, no, sound is fixed now. So yeah, it's I'm gonna keep rolling because like I said, I definitely have some things to say. So let me know if I'm sounding all right, and and the sound is good, and we're just gonna keep on rolling with this. But looking at the markets, me personally, I'm not worried. I look at my bags, and yeah, I mean they're definitely down. My couple of liquidity pools that I'm in, two of them are out of range. My ranged positions are out of range, of course, to the downside. But for the most part, that just means that I'm hodling, those assets. And one of them is AV&T, and the other one is Syndicate. Syndicate I got for free. It was an airdrop for my Aero locks. So I'm really not that worried about it. It's free money. It's house money. And AV&T is basically I'm just trying to build a bag of. And so when I entered that range position, it was in the middle. And as it went towards the bottom end as price dump, because it's an AV&T USDC pool, as it hit the bottom of that range, then basically it just means that I had more AV&T tokens than I entered with. Are they worth less? Absolutely. But I have more tokens. So I'm not really that worried about it because from a preparing for the hopefully parabolic pump that we're going to get, um, I'm I'm in a better position. I'm positioning myself with more assets for that price appreciation. So when it comes to my ranged pools, I'm not sweating it at all. All of that stress of just hodling is off my back. As far as trading, I don't really trade that much. I have a couple of here, and I'll show you what I have open. I have a couple of longs. Hard. Arrow's down 45% and Hype is down 58%. But I mean, I still have a decent amount to I still have a decent amount to my liquidation level. So I'm just letting them ride. Because if these markets do turn around and start to pump, I'm in a great position to where I can just let these go with the market. And yeah, the arrow is only, $200, but because I have 6x leverage on it, it's almost $1,200 that I'm operating with. So, I already did this with AV&T the other day and was able to turn $200 into what do I have now? I'm wanting to say that I have, about $800. So I've 4x'd my AV&T bag, and got to where I have a decent, not crazy big, but a decent bag of AV&T. So, as far as I'm concerned, this isn't affecting me at all. I'm not worried about any of this at all. So I mean, we all have to do, kind of what we, feel we need to do with our bags. But, me personally, any money that I have put into crypto is I have mentally told myself that that is not real money. That it's money that like a blackjack table that I've sat down at the blackjack table, I've put my liquidity on the table, and if I win, awesome. If I lose it, I've got a great education. I mean, I've basically paid for an education of what not to do when it comes to crypto. So far, no matter what the markets have done, up, down, because of what I've earned in DeFi, I'm not down that hard. Even though the markets are just shit and alts are just in the tank, I still basically have the same amount of money that I initially put into the markets. I'm like starting to wonder if you guys are out there. The chat got like really, really quiet. So, but yeah, it's I'm really not that worried about it because I've been, again, earning in DeFi no matter what the markets have done. When they were going up, I was earning. When they were trending sideways, I was earning. When they went, now that they've been going down, I'm still earning. And, because I have some full ranged pools, I have some stuff that's staked. And so, actually, you know what? Let me check on YouTube. Yeah, no, I'm still going on pump.fun. I'm just going to do a quick check on the socials. Yep. All right, cool. Yeah, we're going. All right. So, so I mean, pretty much, what I was wanting to come on and tell you all is if you did your research, if you looked at the projects that you hold in your portfolio, and fundamentally, if nothing has changed in your holdings, hold what you got. Don't freak out. Don't sell at a loss. Just hang in there just a little bit longer. I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not going to pretend that I know that the markets are going to pump. I'm not going to try to fill you with hopium. But again, if you did your research and fundamentally you are in strong projects, you're not in memes, you're in things like Bitcoin, you're in things like Ethereum, Ondo, just these projects that are actively being built on, that actual liquidity is being injected into, that institutions and governments are utilizing, that are being integrated into the legacy, financial system. These are the things that I have done and why I'm sitting back stress-free. Those of you that are in our community, you've seen me in the Discord, you've seen me on the show. I am not stressed at all, not in the slightest. No matter what these markets do, I am not getting shaken out. Will some of the stuff I'm invested in possibly go to zero? Probably. I think that a good portion of crypto, especially alts, are going to eventually go to zero. I'm hoping they pump before they do that because I'm going to get out of all those. And for the most part, I'm going to be all in on stables that are backed 1-to-1 with either the dollar or a dollar equivalent, that are basically in compliance with U.S. regulation, and Bitcoin. That's going to be my treasury. I know that's kind of what I've labeled it. Is that's my treasury. Once I DCA out, if we ever get a pump, that is basically liquidity or the principal that I'm going to use to DeFi and make 10, 20, 30, 40%. Nothing crazy, but if I have a couple $100,000, say I have $300,000 and I'm making an average of 20%, off of that $300,000, that's 60 grand a year. If I can make an extra 60 grand a year without ever touching that $300,000, and I can just use that 60 grand a year to build out a new DeFi portfolio, to take vacations, to do whatever I need to do. That's just gravy money. That is what I'm focused on. That is the brass ring that I'm laser focused on. And I'm not going to let any of this shake me out. And that's why I don't do a lot of trading, because I'm not that good at it. I have a couple that I'm playing with. Yeah. A couple $100 to keep things interesting. Because I feel like that at some point, these markets need to pump. Because, yeah, if they don't pump, it's going to change a lot of things. And yeah, no, it's like really distracting. The chat is like broken or something. It was like on fire, and like now no one's saying anything. But let's see. There we go. Kyle. Thank you, Kyle, for typing something. At least now I know the chat's working. So, I mean, ask me some questions. Talk to me about. No, I didn't close DCA and pray. I didn't close the other one. It just the sound it got fixed when Drew left. it was something on Drew's end. Is the only thing I can think of is his speakers were up, and so my voice on his end was going back into his microphone. Is what I'm thinking. But yeah, like I said, the sound is fine now. I didn't do anything different. Basically he just, after he left, it stopped. So, but yeah, I mean, throw some questions in the chat. If you have any questions about DeFi or just hell, life or, whatever, because I really feel like that everyone's just like kicked in the nuts right now. I was in all the chats and I was, watching, some of the comments and just people are just beat up and I feel bad for people. I really, want people to hang in there because I honestly feel like that we're on the verge of these markets just doing something epic. And I do not want you all to miss out. I mean, if you have to take some money out, to, pay bills or to survive, absolutely do what you got to do. But, don't give up on this, especially if you've been at this for, through the bear market and, learning and investing and stacking and, doing your research and, don't let all of that work, go to waste. I mean, the regrets that you think you're feeling now, imagine what you're going to feel if you get out and the markets pump. It's definitely not, it's going to be a lot worse feeling. Joseph, I get it. Yeah, people are tired of the constant dumps. Trust me, I get it. It is not, I'm not immune to it. I catch myself getting annoyed, just with the constant down. And again, that is why I got into DeFi. Is it has mitigated almost, not all, but almost all of this dumping. Like, what am I sitting at right now? My portfolio, and you all know, I'm very transparent. And here, I'll show you my portfolio. So I'm down to 52 grand right now. I think I have, but I've been out of like a majority of my DeFi for a while, so I haven't been earning like I was because I keep on thinking we're about to pump and I want to get full price appreciation. But I think I probably have 60 or 65 grand, so I'm probably down about 10 grand, currently, but you know, but I mean, with as far down as everything is, I should be far deeper in the hole. But than if I just hodled. But yeah, because I've been, stacking my bags and I've been earning, I'm not as bad off. I'm maybe what 10%, like 10-20% down. Whereas, a lot of stuff is a lot more than that from all-time highs. So yeah. Here, let's see what we got going on here. Blockchain Backer explained today that he thought, here, let's bring this up, DCA and pray, that he thought the market was a point where it had no direction, up, down, or sideways. So he sold 1/3 of his portfolio and waiting for a decision. And maybe that's a good way to go. Take some money out, put it in stables and sit back and see what the hell is going on. If that gives you, some comfort, at least you're not all the way out. That would kind of mitigate your exposure to whatever the hell that, all this is. But let's see what Joseph has to say. Pretty soon, a few whales will need to face me. They're going to have to catch a few punches. Yeah. It really is. Everyone was, I remember when everyone was really, really excited about the Bitcoin ETF. And I remember sitting back and thinking, and not that I'm a genius when it comes to crypto. I'm definitely not the smartest one in the room, when it comes to crypto. There's a lot of people smarter than me. I'll say that. I'm pretty knowledgeable, but there's a lot of people smarter. But I remember thinking that that was the tipping point from when we went from the crypto market being nothing but retail and being very predictable, that 4-year cycle, and the bear market and the bull market, and the parabolic moves, and those charts that everyone's always showing, where first Bitcoin moves, then Ethereum moves, then large caps go, then altcoins, and then you get the memes and the NFTs, the pet rocks and all that stuff. It's I remember thinking at that moment when they were announcing when they were announcing like ETFs, and the Bitcoin one specifically, and then you started seeing the regulation, the U.S. government and governments starting to draft legislation as it pertains to crypto and stable coins and stuff, and it started opening the floodgates of all of these institutions like BlackRock, and they were just drooling at being able to have another way to take our money. And they were just waiting like hungry hounds on the sidelines. As soon as they were able to legally get into the crypto market, it's where it all started. They, pumped Bitcoin, using those ETFs and everything else, got the markets, got everybody thinking we're off to the races back in November, of last year. Bitcoin was going, alts were going. My portfolio was almost at $100,000. They were, everything was pumping. And then Trump's, meme coin came out, and it just sucked all the liquidity out of the markets. And then Melania, right after that, boom, all that liquidity came out. And after that, it was just trending sideways and down almost. Like there's hardly been any pump go that has happened. It's all just been sideways and down. And every time you start to feel like it's starting to take off, it's 2 or 3 times as much down. And it's just they just keep on, teasing, fake pump, full dump, fake pump, full dump. And they're just sucking liquidity out. And it's like a freaking feeding frenzy for them. But I want to put some hope back into you, because if you look at what they're doing, not the liquidity grabs, but if you look at what they are buying, is all the way down. They are stacking. They're pumping it up, getting everybody to come in. They're sucking the liquidity out, making it crash. And then whenever it hits to where they know the bottom is, because they're manipulating the markets, they're buying. They're buying Bitcoin. They're buying ETH. I mean, you can see it on chain. They're using Ondo to tokenize the New York Stock Exchange. If you go to I'll go there real quick. RWA.xyz. It's like whenever I'm starting to feel down, I look at data. Because data doesn't lie. Emotions, they'll freaking betray you. Social media, it will betray you. That's why I do not let emotion into my investing. But if you look at this, 2024, 2025. Look at this, just this year. We're just doing nothing but going parabolic. This is TVL in just the RWA sector. Private credit, U.S. Treasury debt, so bonds, commodities, gold, silver, oil, things like that. Institutional funds, all these BIDL funds, and all of this Janus Henderson funds, and this Paxos Gold and Tether Gold. Those are all tokenization of physical gold. Franklin Templeton, on-chain U.S. government fund, Wisdom Tree, the Ondo, U.S. dollar yield, Circle, USYC. You got, let's go to, what is it I want to show you? But I mean, look at the growth on some of these. Let's go to the 7-day growth. 913% growth in 7 days. 134% on these denarii is the protocol that BlackRock and iShares and Arkham and all these different ones. I mean, look at the growth on these. And these are all stocks, tokenized stocks. And you can just go down this and you can see, I mean, some of these, like the 30-day on some of these, I mean, it doesn't even fit. 513 million % growth on this super microcomputer tokenized on Ondo. This is a stock that was tokenized. I mean, the growth on it in 30 days. I mean, this is what you need to look at. Hold on real quick. Somebody's talking about Arrow. Crash and Eddy. Yes, Arrow, it does have infinite supply. They can mint as many as they want. But one thing you have to understand is the tokenomics. The tokenomics of Arrow is all of those tokens that are minted, they are paid out to Arrow locks. The majority of it is going to people like myself that have Arrow locks. So they're not going into circulation right now. They're locked for sometimes up to 4 years. There are some that are paid out as rewards for people that are providing liquidity, only if they're staked. If they're not staked, if their liquidity that they injected is not staked, they are being paid out in the assets of the pool. So if it's a wrapped ETH USDC pool, they don't get Arrow, just like Uniswap. They get wrapped ETH and USDC at a 10% penalty. And that 10% penalty goes to those like myself that have Arrow locks. So you have to understand that they're just not just printing Arrow and throwing it into circulation. There is an amount of them that is going out into circulation that are being paid for rewards, unless those people, and I don't have the data on it, of how much of those rewards are being put into locks or that are being put into liquidity pools or things like that. But you need to look at the full picture. Again, it's not like they're just printing Arrow and throwing it onto the market. Is it inflationary? Yes. Is it, what everybody makes it, or what some people make it out to be? No. Are there other exchange tokens that are deflationary or that have better tokenomics? Absolutely. Arrow is my largest holding. But again, emotion out of it. Speaking purely from facts, I have to be honest. Yes, it's inflationary. Avantis is deflationary. It's one that I want to start stacking a very large bag of. I don't expect that Arrow is going to go from $1 where it is right now to $100 or $1,000. I'm under no illusion of that. However, Arrow is 60% of the base network's volume. It's being integrated into Coinbase's platform and the new Base app. It's going to be used to give DeFi exposure to Coinbase and Coinbase app users. All of those normies out there that don't know how to use wallets, that don't understand how to use these protocols, they're going to have access very easily. Those barriers to entry are going to be removed for those people to where they can inject liquidity. So I personally, if next bull run, when my Arrow locks unlock, if we have a $10, just a 10x from here, we've already had a $2.20 Arrow. If we can just get to $10, I've already done the math with compounding yield weekly with what I'm earning on my locks with my flight school bonus and everything else. I'm going to have at $10, I'll have $750,000 from a $2,500 investment, because that's initially what I put in. Because when I started my first initial lock, Arrow was at 50 cents. I put in 5,100 tokens, so roughly $2,500. I got my flight school bonus. That was 1,600 Aero. And I've been compounding yield on both of those for the past year, coming up here in October. So all of my investments is purely logic, numbers, and data. Do I get excited about my investments? Absolutely. Do I let it cloud my judgment? No. I don't care if it's going up. I'm not going to get euphoric. I have my ladder out strategy. If we start to take off, hopefully we do. If we start to take off, and actually, you know what? I'll just show you that too. Because like I said, I am fully transparent about everything. My wins, my losses. And this spreadsheet that I'm about to share, you can get it for free in our Discord. If you go to the description on this episode or on our any of our episodes or our channel, there is a link to our Discord, and you can go in there and we have a library, and you can see. Here we go. And you can get this for free. It has all the formulas already in it. All the blue areas that I have tinted are the ones that auto-populate. If they're not shaded in, those are the manual entries. So my Casper, I have what percentage that I'm selling and at what price. Basically my different ladder out points. And no matter what's going on, I don't care what the narrative is. I don't care if it's a super cycle. I don't care if I just don't care. I have a goal. And my goal is I would like to get out with $500,000. And I have built out my ladder out strategy to accomplish that task. And, am I going to reach that, $118,000 that I have right here? Probably not. I'm probably not going to hit all my take profits. But again, if I just have $300,000, with $300,000, I can still accomplish what I want to accomplish. Like I was talking about before, I can take that $300,000 of stable coins, no exposure to volatility at all. I mean, I have exposure to the US dollar, which is shit, but as long as I outpace inflation, I'm good. I'm going to be DCAing into Bitcoin to hedge my exposure to the US dollar. With the yield that I earn from that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So I'm going to have that $300,000, $500,000 in different protocols, earning 10, 20, 30, 40% yield. And so, I mean, I'll be making it. If I'm making 20% on average on $500,000, that's $100,000 a year without even touching the $500,000. That's just other people's money, OPM, that I'm making. And I'll be buying Bitcoin. I'll be buying alts. I'll be buying different things, building out a portfolio, and just to lever up. And all of the yield that I earn off of that, I'm just going to be stacking Bitcoin, and I'm going to be stacking more stables, just so that I, instead of $100,000, maybe after a couple of months, I'm making 110, 120, and then maybe I'm making 140, and it's just compounding. That compounding yield. If you don't understand how compounding yield works, I strongly suggest you read up on it, because it's such a powerful thing over time. And I'll actually show you a chart. Jake, that's on this show on Wednesdays, he actually, this is his website. Hold on real quick. What am I looking for here? My tools. There we go. So compounding yield. All right. So let's just use my example. Let's say I have $500,000. And say that, over the next, we'll just say over the next, over a year. And say that my average return is that 20% that I was talking about. At no price appreciation because it's all in stables. But I'm earning 20% per year. Let's see. No added contribution amount, but I compound daily. So basically, in the first year, I'd make $110,000 because I'd end up with $610,000, a little bit over. So now watch. Over 2 years, now I have 745. So the second year, I made about $135,000. So the first year I made about 110, and then 130. Now the third year, because it's compounding, I'm up to almost $1 million. So I've almost doubled my money in 3 years because of compounding interest, even though I'm only making 20% per year. So, you would think that over 3 years, I would only make 60%. However, because of compounding yield, I'm making a lot more than that. So, I mean, these are the types of things that you need to think about when you're building out your plan. Yes, Crash and Eddie. Compounding is, I believe it was Benjamin Franklin, said that compounding yield is the eighth wonder of the world. All right. Well, I'm just trying to maybe put a little bit of hope, back into people, with everything that's going on, with how beat down everything is. Don't feel bad that that you're having doubts. Don't feel bad that you're looking at your portfolio and you're questioning. Should I have gotten into crypto? With how far your bags are down. And if you're not down, then congratulations. But there's a lot of people that are. I want people to understand that is as long as you don't cash out and you are in good projects. This excludes memes. And you can make money in memes. A lot of people do. My philosophy on memes, I avoid them. Because for every person that got rich off a meme, there's thousands of people that lost everything. So if you think that you have the skill set to, and most of the people that make it are the people that launch it or they get the address, the contract address before, it goes out to the masses. So if you don't get in like pre-launch or like immediately after the launch, like milliseconds, your exit liquidity. For the most part, that's usually how it plays out. Don't fool yourself. There's people a lot smarter than you that, and there's exceptions to every rule, but 95% of the time, you're going to be their exit liquidity. If you're not super smart about, about crypto and how crypto works and wallets and getting in early, just my advice, stay away from memes. You're going to get wrecked. But if you're in good projects, if you're in Ondo, and the reason I say Ondo, it's not because I hold it. It's because I'm looking at data. If you come over here, look. I mean, I sorted by 30-day growth and 7-day growth. Look, all of these. Ondo. Just Ondo. They're all on Ondo. Now after I've scrolled for a while, now we got some Denari. We got some Midas, some Libara, but everything's being tokenized on Ondo. People, they're like, oh, well, the price hasn't done anything. If you want to focus on price, go ahead. If you remember, if you're old enough and you remember the .coms, the .com, boom and bust. I'm 51. I remember it well. And there was a shit ton of .coms, and VCs and investors were just throwing money at .coms because it was just nothing but up and to the right. And you woke up one morning and like 95% of the .coms went to zero. And I see crypto doing the same thing. And that's why I don't watch price, because the manipulators out there, the ones that are moving a lot price wise, are the ones being manipulated. That volatility, they love that because they can pump it, get that that's all that liquidity getting stacked for them just to come up and sweep off the table. And then it dumps, and that's them sweeping it off the table. And then they get you excited about it again. They'll put a little bit in, get it to pump some more. The ones they're not doing that to, those are the ones that they're buying over the counter so it doesn't pump the price. Ondo is one of those. You have to think. You cannot just look at the price and think that is what's going to make the winner. You need to look at what they're doing, not what they're saying. I am super bullish on Ondo. I do not care that the price isn't pumping. What's another one? Plume. Plume it's holding at about 10 cents, like a fucking rock. It got down to about 7 cents at one point. It is beat down as hell and not moving. But you look at Plume and the over 200 partnerships that they have that are actively building, that are tokenizing. It's a pure RWA DeFi play. And you can go on rwa.xyz. And here, let's look up Plume and see what's going on. We're going to go into this blind. They're sitting at the table in Washington, D.C. With a lot of this regulation that's being drafted, and they're a part of the conversation. That's another thing I look at is, these teams, these companies who has a seat at the table. When the governments are making rules, who has a seat at the table? Who has the ear of the politicians? Because they make the rules. And Plume is making sure that they stay in alignment with the rules. Their stablecoin, PUSD, instead of having to have massive reserves, as far as being in compliance with the Genius Act and being backed 1-to-1 with the US dollar or US dollar equivalent, all they did is they are backing it with USDC. Their PUSD is backed 1-to-1 with USDC because they know that Circle and USDC is going to ensure that they stay in alignment, being a US company, with regulation. So by proxy, they are compliant because they are backed by USDC, which is backed by a 1-to-1 with the US dollar or a US dollar equivalent, which is US debt, which is pretty much what backs the US dollar. Whenever they print, they have to issue, a bond, that can be auctioned off, and somebody has to be willing to buy that bond to back that printed dollar. And that's why we've gotten into this trouble, is they can just print money into oblivion and, issue bonds, to back it. So, but back to Plume. So it looks like that there's a little bit of a pullback on the RWA value, so the TVL. But the 30-day transfer volume up 25%. Stablecoin 30-day transfer volume. So liquidity being transferred into PUSD up 50%, on the month. RWA holders up 6%. Stablecoin holders up almost 7%. And you can see, this is everything that's tokenized on the Plume mainnet. Let's see what we got here. 30-day growth. Looks like stable coins, private credit, U.S. Treasury debt. Total value. Let's see what the what the top. Let's see. So anyway, I think I've talked your ear off enough. Let's go through the comments real quick before we cut this off. I saw this interview AJ did with Andrew Tate, and Tate explained it's very hard to get money in our economy, but it's easy to grow money once you have it. Absolutely. And and that's goes back to what I was saying, DCA and Prey, is that's why I'm willing to risk it for the biscuit. I have the 52 grand currently that I'm hoping to 10x, or 5x, 6x, whatever, because I know once I have that treasury, once I have that two, three, $400,000 of liquidity that I can stick in stables, and I can just start earning yield on and remove myself from all this volatility. I don't care if it's an extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. I don't care, because it's free money. And I'm going to take that free money and use it to make more money. The struggle that a lot of us have is basically just being, having this glass ceiling to where, I'm retired, I have my military retirement and I don't have any debt, but the majority of people out there, they're going to a 9-to-5 job. They're only making so much money. Their bills just keep going up. So they're not making any progress. They're not getting raises at work, as the price of groceries is going up. They're not getting a raise at work while, the price of gas at the pump is going up, while taxes are going up, while everything goes up. And inflation, the silent theft that goes on with your US dollar, that is, I know that is why all of you feel so helpless right now. But that is why you need to stick with this. This is your chance to decouple from that. If you can just hang in there, and if you have aligned yourself properly to where if we do get these pumps, I don't care if it's you end up with $50,000 or $5 million. It's if you are smart with it. If you don't just go out and spend it, win Lambo and all that shit, and you actually use it in DeFi, or you use it to buy real estate, rental houses or Airbnbs, something that's going to give you, that's going to earn yield, get a return on your investment. Don't waste this opportunity. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure that you have a plan. What I tell our community every day, or as often as I can, is understand what your financial goal is. Why are you here? And focus on that. What is your goal? I shared mine. I want to make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 off my now $52,000. That is my financial goal. I have my ladder out strategy. And as I'm laddering out, God only knows, what I'm going to end up with. But if we get any kind of pump, it's going to be more than I have now. And again, if I make an extra $1,000 a month, it's mailbox money. That's money that just shows up with me doing nothing but using DeFi. And it's $1,000 a month that I can reinvest in something else and grow and grow and compound. So, all right. Again, I think let me finish a couple of these. I don't trade. I buy low, no margin, sleep well. That's awesome. That's all you can ask for is, stress-free investing. And that's why I love DeFi so much. No matter what the market does, I'm earning. I need to start getting back into some pools and stuff because, it doesn't look like the markets are going to do anything, do anything awesome anytime soon, till at least until we get into October. What else we got? Same easy money with the quality that is so cheap. Exactly, Crash. Oh, crap. I didn't realize we were still live. Yeah. No, as soon as Drew left, the echo left, Wispy. Oh, yep. No, as soon as Drew dropped off, I think his speakers were feeding back into his microphone, and that's why my voice was echoing back. But it's all good. I appreciated him taking the time to jump on. I had asked him to come on, just kind of spur the moment, just because looking in the chats and looking in the Discord and stuff, I could see that just morale was down, and I just wanted to kind of ground everybody and give you all some solid footing, and let you know you're not in this alone. We're all invested in a lot of the same projects. We've shared a lot of the of the knowledge that we have with each other, in our Discord and stuff like that. I know in our Discord and the news aspect of it, there's some things that the community teaches me. Some of the airdrops that I've gotten. I got that syndicate airdrop that I got, and the Avantis airdrop I got was people in the community that queued me off to it. So get into a community. If it's not ours, in the description of this, of all of our episodes and on our channel on YouTube, you can, for free, everything that we do is free. We don't charge for anything. We're here. We just want to build a strong community of supportive people that are just genuine and honest. We don't get paid by any of these projects we talk about. We haven't monetized in any way whatsoever. I haven't made a single dollar off of any of this that we've done. It actually cost me and Jeff money to do this. So you can rest assured it's coming from a place of honesty and integrity. But join the Discord, get in here, get to know some people, and just be a part of a community that's going to help uplift you. But till next time, which will be tomorrow, I'm going to have definitely David on, might have Jake on. We'll see what's up, and we'll talk a little bit of DeFi. But till next time, Veteran Crypto out.